when Led Zeppelin started out, nobody had heard a singer like Robert Plant before. The way he wailed and the way he screamed, this was amazing as a tool for rock bands. And Ritchie Blackmore of Deep Purple, he looked at his own singer, Rod Evans, hush, and he thought that's not good enough. So Rod Evans was kicked out, and Ian Gillan was brought in because he could wail like the singer from Led Zeppelin. And there was a little bit of rivalry there. But we could say that screaming-wise, Gillan probably won with Child in Time, where he reaches the high A. And we can compare that to Robert Plant's scream after the solo in Since I'm Loving You, which is in high F, which is still half an octave above the C sharp that Steve Marriott sings in Ichiku Park. So it's very impressive. But Ian Gillan gets up to A with the and that's pretty amazing, actually. It wasn't good enough for Blackmore though, because Ian Gillan had to go. David Coverdale was brought in, and that still wasn't good enough for Blackmore, really, because they got into a bit of an argument with the band, and Blackmore decided to leave and start up his own band. And he needed some musicians for that. And they had this really nice opening band on the last tour, Elf, and they had some pretty good musicians. So instead of having to deal with that guitarist, he just decided to nick the entire band minus the guitarist and start his own band, Rainbow, with the amazing singer Dio. Wow, the little man with the big voice. Apparently his grandmother is the one who came up with this thing to ward off evil spirits. She was Italian. And Dio was an amazing singer, and they went off into this direction with the whole epic rock thing. But Dio was such a good singer that he was invited to replace Ozzy Osbourne in Black Sabbath. And Black Sabbath was really big at this point, so it must have been a lot of pressure for Dio. But he did it pretty well. We got the Heaven and Hell album, of course, pretty good. Black Sabbath, famously, Tony Iommi, the left-handed guitar player, who has some issues with his fingers. He lost the tips of his fingers in a factory accident, and famously, right, after that happened, his superior in the factory took him into the office and played him a Django Reinhardt record as a consolation, as inspiration maybe, to say, yeah, you can still do it, go for music. Because Django Reinhardt lost the most use of these two fingers in an accident where his caravan burnt down, sadly. But that makes Django Reinhardt a really good guitarist, actually, because with the two fingers, well, some think that it's that part of his genius at improvising jazz solos on the guitar was that he was just using the two fingers, which gives your head more space to think about what you're gonna play instead of thinking about which finger you're gonna play it. So, but back to Tony Iommi. Because Iommi didn't always play in Black Sabbath. Did you know that he was the guitarist for Jethro Tull for a while? Yeah, I was surprised too. But there's a picture of it. And it really happened. It didn't last long though. And Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, famously a demanding frontman, he used to say that with guitar solos in the studio, if you didn't get it in 2 or 3 takes, it will become a flute solo, so you'd better bring your A game. Well, it turns out to be a bit of an exaggeration. They just had 24 tracks to work with, and if you didn't nail the guitar solo in a few tracks, you'd be out of tracks. Easy as that. So when Martin Barre, guitarist for Jethro Tull on the Aqualung album, was playing the solo to that song, Aqualung, he was very surprised to see Jimmy Page walk in, but they had been mixing and recording parts of the 4th album downstairs in the same studio, and he just came in to say hi, but the tape was running. So for a moment Martin Barre hesitated and he decided to just keep playing, and I think that in the Aqualung solo it might be the point where he goes, because you have time to think there for a while during the bend. That might be why the bend is so long and why it drops so slowly. You can listen for it on the actual recording. If you think that it might have happened on a different place in that solo, write it in the comments. It would be interesting to hear. So there we go, Jimmy Page. We're back at Led Zeppelin. Full circle.